This is the way, and this is I Am Geek episode 175. I'm Ryan. I'm joined by my brother Chris and our good pal Katrin. And tonight we are doing another roundtable. So that means Ray Chase is back here with us because this is the Mandalorian season 2 roundtable spoiler edition. So get that out there right now. Spoilers. There will be spoilers. If you haven't watched it, then what have you been doing?
Why are you here?
I haven't watched it yet. So
where have you been?
I'm gonna go.
Just go. Because
this is still on season 1.
There will be lots of spoilers.
The show again?
What's the show again?
The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so we're gonna give our hot takes or what we think about the season overall. We're gonna go through each episode. I'm not gonna do the plot of each episode or anything. We'll just sort of talk about what we thought of each episode. Because if you want the plot of each episode, go watch the episode.
Oh, or look at Wikipedia.
Yeah.
IMDb.
Yeah. Any other website that says the Mandalorian episodes. Anyways, speaking of Wikipedia, let me pull that up there.
Already there.
What does Wikipedia say about episode 1?
Yeah, that's a lot.
So this happened.
Here's what I think. The Mandalorian.
Oh, I'm not reading this.
That'd be pretty funny. Anyways, so overall, okay, I think all of us could say that we were excited for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You could say that.
Yeah, overall, let's just sort of give our thoughts on season 2. Not going into detail, just sort of overall, when you finished season 2, was it a yes, that was as awesome as I thought it was going to be? Yeah, it was okay. I like season 1 better. All that stuff. So we'll start with that, and then we'll dive right into everything.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pick somebody. Chris, Floyd. He's by himself on my screen. So,
it was good.
Yep. Okay, on to Katrin. I knew you
want
would
to expound on that, Chris.
I enjoyed it. No, it was really good. Yeah, I always go into second seasons very cautious, especially after really liking the first season, and it made me happy. They did well with it. I enjoyed it as much as I did the first season. I felt it was a good continuation, so to speak.
Man.
So to speak.
What else is there to say?
I know there's nothing else to say. He's all up right there.
No, I liked it too. I mean, that was my thing coming into it. There was a lot of caution or apprehension. You're like, oh, I don't want to get too overexcited because it's hard to build on that because it was so great. But they did continue it. I feel like they have a formula now for the episodes, and that has the opportunity or to be kind of like, okay, I know how this is going to go, but it still was very enjoyable and, really, really great.
I think I saw a meme or something where it was like Mandalorian coming into a village saying, "Can I use your bathroom?" They're but first, before you use our bathroom, we need to send you on a quest.
Hello, adventurer. It's very good. Very good.
Very good.
I liked it.
This is the way.
Very good.
This is the way. I had something else in mind, but it didn't want to come out. So
yeah, better out.
I liked it.
That's what I always say. All right, Ray, what did you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with the other guys. I mean, anytime you have a really hot season 1, you get a little worried. Like, was that lightning in a bottle? Do they have a plan beyond this? Not that you can't enjoy other seasons. Lost comes to mind as they had a really good season 1, and I stayed with the show through the whole thing, but it was never quite as hot as that first season. So, so I was kind of wondering, like, is it going to be too self-aware? Is it going to be, the Baby Yoda show or whatever? But I think they did a great job expanding on the story that they established in the beginning. I don't know if we want to talk about issues or quips that we might have had with the season, but
we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll see. Okay, I'll save those then. But I mean, overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I couldn't wait for the next episode to come on. And then when it was over, I was like, it's over. And it's not coming back now until I think it ended. What was it, like the week or so before Christmas?
Yes.
And the rumors that season 3 is going to be like Christmas Eve or something of next year. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the third season is going to start over a year, over a
or
year
more.
Or
it's
more.
been pushed back more.
Yeah, so
that's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
But we have other shows.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, see, I think what happened there that threw people off was that Kathleen Kennedy said season 3 of The Mandalorian, or chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, will be next December. But that's before they announced what the
Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett. I think that's what she meant, but she couldn't say that then.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were like, wait a second. You said, so this is because everybody's confused. Oh, so the next season of Mandalorian is going to be all about Boba Fett.
Right.
Which we'll get to that. But I think that's what threw people off, that they didn't really announce in season 3 of The Mandalorian. She was announcing that, but she sort of messed up a little bit, and we were confused a little bit. So it's just, they couldn't announce it, so that's what she said.
Yeah. And they left the confusion happening even after the episode aired. There was still like 3 days of confusion where no one knew what was going on until Jon Favreau was like, "Let me clear this up for you." And it was like, "Oh, well, okay, that makes way more sense. Thank you."
Just let them stew. Let them stew.
Yeah, I really enjoyed season 2. I thought it was great. I thought it was like a near perfect season 2 of a TV show. Like you said, like it could, you never know what you're going to get in season 2. I thought season 1 was, let's show you this new world of Star Wars, and season 2 is, remember all this cool stuff you like from Star Wars? We're going to put it in that new world now that you're familiar with the new world. And I felt like that's what basically every episode of season 2 was. Like, remember this that you love? Here it is. And most of the time, here it is in its live action form versus animated form. So, but we'll get into all of that. You mentioned the bad. Did you have some bad stuff you didn't like? You want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it later?
It's up to you. I mean, it's your show, man. Whatever you want to do. It's nothing bad. I mean, it's not. I think I was telling Street this before. It's like I enjoyed season 2. I mean, I love season 2. My only criticisms about season 2 was I liked that in season 1 that we were living in the Star Wars. I can't talk either. That we were living in the world of Star Wars, but it was familiar settings, familiar characters to an extent. It's like we've seen Mandalorian armor before, but it was like this is separate. This has nothing to do with the Star Wars saga. Yes, all that happened, but we're on the Outer Rim. We're doing all this other stuff. And I feel like he was like stepping over cameos a lot this season. It was like, oh, it's Ahsoka. Oh, it's Luke. Oh, it's Bo-Katan. And it was just like every time you turn around, they're like name dropping Thrawn and this and that. And I was like, I don't know that I had a problem with that, but I kind of was almost wondering, should they have like stretched that out a little bit instead of like. Just dropping, nerd bombs like every other episode, just giving us a little bit more. And so I kind of hope season 3 goes back to a little bit more of how season 1 was, where there's maybe Bo-Katan's there, but there's not going to be as much. And then the only other thing for me was too many season 1 characters kept showing up in season 2. It was kind of like, oh, it's the blue guy. Oh, it's the woman at the Tatooine, and I told Street, I was like, I think we were like 3 to 4 episodes in, and I was like, now watch, those guys that he pulled the heist with, they're gonna end up showing up. I mean, heck, why not? And then there was a Bill Burr episode, which happened to be one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy
sure.
How dare you make me like Bill Burr?
Yeah,
I did like.
It was just kind of like maybe season 3, bring him back or whatever. But
I did like the characters that they did bring in. They were characters from like Rebels or Clone Wars, or it wasn't like the original.
Wasn't like Han and Chewie or something like that.
It was these characters that a lot of people have never seen before. So to them, they were brand new. But
Yeah.
the ones that have seen their journey, they're like, finally in live action, this
Yeah.
is amazing. So
No, that's very true. That's very true. And I feel like they did a good job of because I haven't done the long reading. I haven't watched Clone Wars and Rebels, so I knew who these characters were, but I wasn't like an expert in who they were. But I felt like they were introduced in a way that made it accessible for like people like myself and my wife who knows nothing about them. And then for like you guys who may have watched all the Clone Wars and Rebels, feel like, oh my gosh, that's her in the dark. Like kind of what they did with the Darksaber. The Darksaber shows up and they give you a little bit of information, but for those that that know the story, you're like, oh my god, the impact of this is huge. So.
And it did feel a little bit to me. I think we're again when we were talking Ray is it was like, so here's all these like little cameo characters from everything, and like, oh, they're gonna get a series.
Yeah,
they're gonna get a series.
Too many spin-off opportunities.
So it was just like it reminded me of another Jon Favreau franchise, Iron Man and Iron Man 2, where Iron Man was like, well, Iron Man. So it initially started as a comic book. But like Iron Man was its own thing. It was just like Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2 is like, wait, about some Nick Fury and some Black Widow, and hey, we're gonna have some other movies we're setting up here. But it was not done as well as this was. So Jon Favreau had like some experience with that, and he's like, okay, if we're setting up other series, I'm gonna do it better this time.
Yeah. Well, I thought it did a good job because I wasn't even when some of the characters were introduced, we didn't know about those other series yet. And I was perfectly happy with the way they did it without the other series. But then they said, oh, guess what? There's going to be more. And you're just like, yes.
Yay!
There's going to be more Ahsoka. Anyways, so let's just dive in. Let's just start with Chapter 9, which for some people would be Episode 1 of Season 2, but it's Chapter 9. It's very confusing, I know. This is like Season 2? Episode 1? No, it's Chapter 9. So, you get it. You get it. Anyways, so it is titled The Marshal. And it's basically justified in space. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Because that's what's his name plays. Anyways, so we're introduced. Mando is looking for other Mandalorians. And that's what we think this whole basically season is just going to be, him going around trying to find other Mandalorians. He happens upon a small town on Tatooine that we haven't seen before, right? I don't think.
No.
It's been mentioned before in something.
Yes, it was in like a book series or something afterwards.
I think it was in that Aftermath book.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen it. And then who walks in? Skinny Boba Fett.
Not Boba Fett.
Which, because that was the funny part, is there was all these rumors that Boba Fett was going to be in this season, right? And then you see this guy walking, you're like, what?
Yeah, when he walked in, I remember when I first watched it, he walked in, I'm like, wait, what? It's Boba Fett's armor. Why is he so skinny? What's going on here?
It's the robot chicken version of Boba Fett.
He lost a lot of weight, over the years.
Out there in the desert.
He's on a keto diet.
He got tall.
Very dehydrated.
Stretched out on the sand and just kept stretching.
But this, of course, becomes, as we find out, as a character called Cobb Vanth, played by Timothy. Say his last name because I can't.
Oliphant,
yeah.
Elephant.
Yeah.
It was the Oliphants from Lord of the Rings.
Yes, that's what I always think of. Oliphants.
Mr. Frodo, Oliphants.
They're basically going to, he wants the armor back because it's Mandalorian armor. He says no, they're going to fight it out. And then what appears but a
8 tiny reindeer.
8 tiny reindeer. Or what we think is the worm thing from Tremors. Comes and it turns out to be the Krayt Dragon, which the Krayt Dragon is, we first see the Krayt Dragon skeleton in episode 4 of Star Wars, not of the Mandalorian. Star Wars: A New Hope. We see the skeleton of it. So they bring that back. So they're bringing all these cool little things in. There's a big fight. He kills another animal. So, Mandalorian does. He goes around.
He gets another patch
Yeah.
for his other
So-
shoulder.
Yeah.
It felt like other Mandalorian episodes that we had seen before. So it was good. Like, oh yes, this is what I loved about the other.
Mhm.
And so again, the formula.
The formula. So he kills.
Mandalorian and the Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I gotta say, my kids, we all laughed real hard when the Sand People were getting the banthas, preparing the trap. And the crate dragon came out and did not eat the bantha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, psych.
That was sort of funny because there's this big creature that would be, that'd be a good bite to eat for this big dragon. He's like, wait a second, what's that little speck running over there?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll eat that because I'm 600
His
feet
vision's
long.
based on movement. So
He just had a huge meal before.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just wanted a little nibble.
I heard that they on the thing that you can watch on Disney Plus, the sort of the making of it.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps when they were making the dragon kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and it ended up being like 600 feet long by the time they got to.
It's got arms and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like legs and weird. Like
Yeah.
you don't even see. Like,
Yeah.
And it moves through the sand by sound waves.
Mm-hmm. It liquefies the sand.
Yeah, sort of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then at the end of the episode, we see a glimpse of who we believe to be the actual Boba Fett. So did this episode hype you for the season? Where you were like, "Yeah, this is going to be a good season." Like, any takeaways from this episode?
Kind of like what Katrin said. It felt familiar. It felt like, oh, this is another. Mando's like, hey, I want something. And like, well, I want something too. All right, well, let's do your thing first.
And that is most
fine.
episodes.
I mean,
Most episodes, because we followed up with the passenger, which is basically the same thing. You want to know what more Mandalorians are? Well, this random frog lady can tell you where they are if you take her with you.
Word spreading that, like, hey, like, if you give him a little something, like, he'll do like a big thing for you.
You're getting bullied at school? Well, I'll tell you what you do. And the Mandalorian comes to your town.
Should I go left or right? Well, I'll tell you. But first, I need you to stop this volcano real
I
quick.
just need to know which way to go.
It's just left or right. Well, no. Volcano.
I need you to do me a favor.
Which the frog lady was played by the same person who played
Frog Man.
no.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
but
the same person.
the I have spoken
Quill.
guy
Quill?
saying
Peter
like
Quill. She played Peter
Creepy
Quill.
face behind Katrin.
yeah.
Yes.
If you're on YouTube.
There he is. There he is.
There we go.
Katrin killed him and skinned him and put his head on his shelf.
Messing up his jowls.
Oh my goodness.
By the end of episode, of course, they go on this adventure on this random snow planet that wasn't Hoth; it was somewhere else. And there's these spider creatures that they disturb and end up, guess what? Killing another species. But it's sort of the Mandalorian thing to do.
This is the way.
This
This
is
is the way.
Did you think by the end of this episode that the frog lady was going to be a bigger character for the season, or did you think this is just a one-off? This is just one of those episodes they throw in.
I felt like it was going to be a one-off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It didn't seem like it played into like the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah.
It's just another thing for him to do to get to something else.
I sort of felt like the first two episodes were like that. It's sort of a one-off to get you into things, but then from then on, it was pretty much everything was playing into each other.
The bigger story.
The bigger story was being.
I will say that I think the second episode is probably my least favorite of the whole season.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
We learned that Grogu loves to eat.
He's hungry,
sentient
man.
Creatures.
Which caused a big ordeal that people were just so upset, or certain people were so upset that he ate this frog
Made up character.
offspring,
ate made up things.
made up things,
Mhm.
ate unfertilized eggs, right?
Come on.
Mhm.
which I'm pretty sure that most of those people that was upset about that had unfertilized eggs for breakfast
Heyo.
that morning.
It bothered me a little bit because it kind of did. I told Scoot about it because it was like one of those things where it's like they're playing it for laughs. Like, oh look, he's so cute. Oh look, he ate another one of the species that's on the verge of extinction. That's adorable. And I'm like, oh, there's limits to his adorableness.
He learned from his father, Mando. I mean, you
True.
don't care about creatures, you destroy them.
Right. That's right.
Well, to me, it was
Not like us, you die.
having a 3-year-old in my house right now. I was like, yep, that makes perfect sense because that's what my 3-year-old will do. Would be like, hey, look at that thing. I think I'll put it in my mouth and I'll eat it. And it just made sense to me. It was like that somebody that like an infant or whatever, that's what they would do. And they wouldn't think about, oh, this is this lady's like children. They would just be like, ooh, that looks good. I think I'll eat it and just put it in my mouth. And to me, so when people got really upset about it, I was like, you obviously don't have children because that's what children do. They put stuff in their mouth and they try to eat it.
And let me be clear too. I was a little bothered by it, but I wasn't like, "Where's the internet?"
Yeah.
Cancel
this show now.
That's how I type when I'm angry with one finger.
I have a cousin that's a frog.
Part of me thought at the end of the episode that he was just going to go "Bleh," and just spin him back up and hand him back to her. Like, oh, he's just keeping them warm.
Protecting them.
I just figured he was eating like the dead eggs, like they weren't making it. He was sensing them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, these are already dead. They will not form. I will eat these.
Could this be a clue, though, that he's going to turn to the dark side? He's going to be an evil
No, it's good.
Sith Lord. No, I don't know.
Maybe Yoda
All
can't be
Sith
bad.
lords eat babies.
So the requirement.
Yeah.
Let's see. Force lightning.
Get
Yes.
started.
Eat babies? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope.
Hand thing? Magic hand thing?
Darth Maul ate them by the pound.
Yep. He had to.
High protein.
What is Jabba the Hutt? Well, he's not a Sith Lord.
He pretty much eats everything.
Force lightning. He ate babies, but he didn't have force lightnings.
Oh, Jabba.
See, I got very nervous after the setup in the second episode. In the third episode, when, the frog couple actually had one
Yeah.
being born, I was like, oh, is this going to take a dark turn or something? Mando's going to come back and, he's eating everything.
And
Yeah, I was expecting him to walk in and then the Grogu was just there like slurping down like the leg of one of the adults.
But that's why you should always hold your thoughts on typing stuff on social media until after you see. Because to me, again, it's, small children in my house. So, second episode, he eats basically the eggs. And then the third episode, he realizes what they are. And he gets a sense of father, mother, child.
It's an existential crisis.
Well, he gets
50.
a sense and he realizes, oh, this is their child. Just like Mando is slowly or fastly becoming my father. So he saw the family unit. And I think that sort of helped him to realize what family was for the upcoming episodes. Like I'm
That is
just deep
way
on
more
now.
zen. That's way more zen than I had when I
is this a
watched it.
Pixar
but
movie?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, at first he did want to eat Mando when they first met, so it kind of grew from there.
Yeah. But that's what I saw when he like sort of looked at it like, okay, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
I probably shouldn't have eaten those eggs.
You read a lot from a dead puppet's eyes.
Yeah. Because if you could see his thought bubble, he was picturing that little baby lizard like on a bun with ketchup. He was just like, man.
Oh, he saw the love from the parents.
Never left me alone enough.
I'm trying to dig them out of this hole so the PETA people don't come after him. Okay?
There was only one baby. What happened to the rest of them?
It's true.
Well,
So
Being
okay,
hatched
there's the
inside
birds and the
Grogu.
bees. Chris needs to talk because I don't think he's ever had.
I don't know what you're talking about.
we're talking about frogs.
Each other.
Yeah, we're talking about frogs and eating
Why
them.
birds?
Anyways, okay, so the heiress is the episode we're talking about, which when you see, I just forgot her name, Sasha Banks. Anyways, she's a wrestler from WWE, and she plays a part. And nobody knew who she was going to play, and then this is the episode she pops up in. And everybody's like, "Oh, is she going to be Sabine? Who's she going to be?" Well, it turns out she's just a sidekick of the real star of this episode. I thought was Bo-Katan or Katan, or depends on where you're from. So we think she appears on this boat that Mando and Grogu go on. And it turns out that the people just wanted to steal the armor, right?
Yeah.
And they were just going to kill Grogu, or at that time.
Come over here. Let your kid get a better look.
Yeah.
Whoops.
This was a really cool moment because this is the actor that voiced Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars and Rebels. So she got to sort of, become her. And I guess when they were doing those animated series, they were kidding around about, that she wanted to play it live action. Like, but that will never happen. And now they're sort of laughing about it that it actually did happen.
But the director, like Dave Filoni, had said to her, like, "Hey, you never know. One day you could be live action version." She's like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought she did a great job. It was really cool seeing her come to life and how they portrayed her for the live action version. It was interesting. So in that episode, she has basically two sidekicks. You have Sasha Banks, and then you have this guy. Later on, she just has one sidekick, and we don't know what happens to
Who's the guy?
to the dude.
Maybe he was running errands. He might have had some stuff to do.
He's like their gopher. He's like he's a trainee. They like send him out for coffee.
They do capture a ship in this episode, and maybe he was put in charge of that ship.
Yeah, maybe.
Or
there's
maybe
some good
they were
stuff.
like,
there's some good stuff with those lines too, though, with her and Mando.
Yeah.
When with the taking off the helmets and stuff, and she's basically like, "Oh, you're one of those."
Oh, you're crazy.
But they in later episodes, it's Bo-Katan and whoever else. It was all the girls went together.
Yeah.
On a mission, right? Power. So I think that's part of it. It's like they wanted the girl power.
We're sorry, you're a dude. You can't come with us on this.
Yeah.
But it was, which was funny because in the Death Watch in Rebels or Clone Wars, I'd have to go back and look. Whichever one they were in, they would take their helmets off all the time.
Yeah, in Death Watch, that was in Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yeah.
So like they, I guess, slowly over time became a little bit more like.
Well, that's
doctrine kind of cultish,
right? That's what she was saying. You're one of those basically that still believes you should keep your helmet on. Yeah.
What was the name she gave it though?
I can't remember.
Did she call it the Owl Watch or something? She had some name.
Death Watch.
Was it the Death Watch?
Yeah, it was the group, but or was it Night Watch? Death something in Night Watch.
Death Watch.
I mean, he was saved by Death Watch.
Yeah,
they're the ones that flew in and saved him. But
her group was called something, Night something, because of the owl motif.
Yeah,
right.
Night owl something.
Sure.
Owlets.
The owlets, yes.
Owlets.
It was a cool moment though, because I mean, people had been wondering from like season 1, like, well, we've seen all these Mandalorians taking off their helmets and what's the deal with that? Why doesn't he? And so it was kind of neat that within Mandalore, there's like different sects of Mandalorians who have their own beliefs and their own rule system that's perhaps different than other sects of Mandalorians. So that's kind of interesting.
Which that sort of line starts a whole journey for Mando, which is a cool thing to watch him progress, where he realizes what's more important.
Doing the right
rules and laws, or family and
doing what's needed.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool, because I think that's something each of us can say about our own lives. We have to come to that point where something that we've been doing just like, well, because this is the way you do it.
Tradition.
Yeah, tradition and stuff. We have to realize, maybe that's not the best way to do it. And maybe keep a helmet on all the time. Except for in front of windows where anyone can see you while you eat. Maybe not. Maybe it's not the best thing.
You're getting deep thoughts from this show.
Yes.
Hey.
I know.
You never know what you're going to get with I Am Geek. Never know.
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts with Ryan Street. So yeah, I love that episode though. You had the action
Yeah, that was
fight
good.
on the ship, and it's cool how they did it, and they showed it in the behind the scenes where they're like, "Okay, we don't want Mandalorian running or Mando running with them because then he'll look like he's part of their team." Well, he shouldn't be part of their team because he doesn't. You know, this is his first time dealing with them, so they sort of kept him back, and they had like the three that would go, and he would do his other thing to sort of fight the stormtroopers, and it was really cool to see the stormtroopers on this ship where it took you back to sort of the original trilogy of them fighting, because it wasn't like in season 1 you had the stormtroopers but they were like dirty and everything. These were like pristine stormtroopers on the ship with the dark grays of the walls and stuff, and it was like it just brought you right back. I thought it was really cool.
It was kind of funny though, since they're all wearing Beskar, and he's like, "Cover me!" and they're all just kind of like stay, but they all stay on the walls, and out there, pew, 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 pew. No, don't help. Pew, 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 pew. I'll throw the grenades. It's cool, guys.
Man,
you could form a wall of Beskar, but let's not do that.
Stormtroopers just like aim for the little pieces of metal on his shirt.
I mean, how did they do that? They have terrible aim, right?
Well, maybe they were aiming for the soft parts, and
that's right. They probably were.
Yeah.
They probably weren't even aiming at him.
It tracks lasers.
Yeah.
And then, so that episode was great. They sort of part ways at the end, which brings us to the siege, where he goes back to basically the planet where this all started. Wow, I just forgot the name of the planet.
Vario?
We'll say so. It's where Grief, Kargan, and Cara Dune are, where he left them after season 1.
And Horatio Sands.
Yeah, and Horatio Sands. And this one was probably had the best moment of the whole series, season 1 and 2. We got introduced to probably the greatest character of the show. Anyone? Blue Jeans guy.
Blue
Jeans
was
amazing.
Yeah.
It was short-lived. You know, the Blue Jeans guy was short-lived.
They've already got a toy out of him, I'm sure.
They do.
Yeah.
Navarro,
yes.
Okay.
On the tip of my tongue.
Dave Navarro.
There was an extra in the background, or not an extra, but a grip of somebody.
In
the background. You saw his
possibly
jeans.
Dave Navarro.
But they edited him out like pretty fast, right?
I know. I was like, wow, really? You're not going to let fans have that? Because, everyone's like having a great time with this.
Same with the Starbucks cup.
I was going to say, if you...
Game of Thrones, they edited that out pretty quick.
Whoops.
Whoopsie. So what did you... I like this episode, but do you think this was... Do you think it was as important as some of the other episodes? Or was it like, let's go visit old friends?
Yeah. It was kind of like a hey, remember these guys from the first season? You liked them.
Yeah.
We'll give them to you again. We like them too. And I bet we'll get a series here.
It started off clunky for me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the direction or the writing or what. But I mean, again, having Horatio Sands back, and it's like, oh wait, Mando went to get him for you. That doesn't seem like it jives with the first season at all. But it was just a lot of I'll take 10 more years off your sentence. I'll take 20 years off your. It's like, why are we even bringing him along? Are we bringing him along just to be funny? I mean, why are you here?
Shield.
Human meat shield. I don't know. I mean, the second half started getting cool, a little bit more action, more with the cloning and stuff like that. But at the beginning, it just kind of seemed like what you said. It's like, hey, remember us? And look, my beard's gray. Time has passed, and this and that. And then it's like, hey, we have a problem. Glad you're here. Let's go off and do this thing. And some of the dialogue and some of the setup was a little bit clunky for me.
Clunky?
Watching it a second time, I enjoyed it.
Clunky?
More. It was a little McClunky for me. But yeah, I mean, the whole second half when they were escaping and they were, the speeder right guys and all that. that was all cool. But
Yeah, the action stuff was.
the action was good. The action was real good.
So when they find the sort of the clone things that they've been making, what did you guys think? Did you think that it was
Jurassic Park
clones of Snoke? Like Snoke?
I was sitting there going, "Please don't be Snoke. Please don't be Snoke. Please do not connect this in any way to the movies that come later."
Which they sort of did, but
I don't know though. I'm
Just
almost
like a tiny
wondering.
bit.
We don't know what Gideon's plan is, and I'm wondering if he's trying to create, like, if the Dark Troopers are sort of like his first step, and he wants to create like an army of Force sensitive or Force wielding, basically his own clone army of Force wielding super soldiers.
He's just using the progression of the movies: first robots and then clones.
Mm-hmm.
He's just using that progression.
But they looked a little like Snoke. I mean,
well,
they looked like Snoke.
Doesn't every weird thing in a jar look like Snoke?
Yeah, I mean, if you poured pudding into a jar, it would look like
Dobby. Maybe Dobby.
Dobby the house Snoke.
Oh
no! Yes, he's back.
Harry Potter, no!
I'm a clone.
I'm a clone. Oh, I'm dead. Master gave me a frog egg. Master gave me a name, Grogu.
I feel like them trying to, do the whole Snoke, and that they're trying to bring back the Emperor. It's such the obvious thing for them to be doing. I just feel like it's got to be like a red herring that Gideon's really up to something else. And
they put that in there.
It's not going to be that obvious.
Yeah, they put that in there, but then they sort of just went away from it for the rest of the season. So
maybe
it was like, see this thing? Remember those movies? Yeah, it wasn't that important. So we're just going to throw this little tidbit in and then move on because we're
blowing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blowing
I think they want to relate it somewhat to previous movies or things that are coming in the future a little bit, at least, to say this ties in somehow, maybe, but and not a total side story. Which we find later.
When we get toward the last episode, we'll talk about that. How do you think it's going to relate to the Disney sequels? But this episode, basically what this episode did was it installed a tracker on the Razor Crest, so he can be followed. Basically, that was the whole point of this episode. Mm-hmm. To have a way that they could track him through space and time. Well, not time. Well, I guess time. I don't know. Anyways, so this leads to chapter 13, which is probably my favorite episode of the season.
Really?
What? I liked that it wasn't like, okay, we're going to give you this episode, Return of the Jedi. And in the last 2 minutes of the episode, guess who's going to pop up? A Jedi.
A Jedi.
But they're just like, they start the episode and it's like, well, there's freaking Ahsoka.
Yeah.
There she is. It's not like we're going to wait midway through. It's like opening scene, there she is. And you got her basically the whole episode, which was amazing because I was so excited to see the character in live action, and I thought that they did it justice. I liked that it was basically the episode was based on old samurai movies. It was just, I thought it was beautifully shot. Everything. Of course, they film all this on what they call the volume, which is basically this huge room with these screens all around. So it's not like green screen. It's basically that you see everything.
Project onto the screen.
Yeah, projected on. So the way they did that, it was amazing because it looked like you were in this weird, burnt down sort of forest.
Mm-hmm. And a little side note from that, because watching like the behind the scenes episode that they put out, I didn't realize that like the ships that they would make are actually miniatures, 3D models, and then they project those on the screen. I thought it was like 3D models that they make in computer, put them up there, but it was actually like detailed 3D models, and I thought that was a nice touch.
It was amazing. Yeah. This was my favorite episode too.
Okay.
For all the reasons you said. And again, I mean, with Ahsoka, never watched Clone Wars or Rebels. I knew who she was, obviously, but I wasn't, a huge fan waiting for her to show up. But still, I mean, Dave Filoni wrote and directed it, and I just thought the direction, the shots were just really, really cool. The way she'd pop up behind dudes and like pull the lightsabers, graphically, it was just so cool. And the way being able to see her like hide behind trees, and she'd use the Force to like make a noise over here, and then like she'd go by like a ghost in the foreground. I was just like, this is just so cool to watch, And then her fighting the woman whose name I forget, and then Mando having the standoff with what's his name, Johnny Ringo.
Yeah. Yes. Morgan Elsbeth was the magistrate.
Yeah, that whole fight and just all of that. I mean, again, like you mentioned, I mean, kind of borrowing from Kurosawa and samurai films. It looked awesome.
Yeah,
it just beautiful, and everything was staged really cool. And that's why, I mean, final episode was also amazing, but that episode, The Jedi, was like
it was like a love letter to the character.
Yeah, well, when you mentioned when she pulls a lightsaber, that's a scene out of Rebels. I think it was Rebels where she does that with their lightsabers. And when they did that, I was like, oh crap, they did that! Like that's so amazing to see that live action because that is like this. Because normally when you see somebody light their lightsabers, it's like they stick their hand down, but there it is. But she like takes both of them and just like pulls them across, and it was like beautifully shot. It was just. Yeah,
and at the beginning, when she's like turning them off and like hiding, when me and my son, when we play Star Wars Battlefront 2, when we're Jedis, I'm always like, turn your lightsaber off. They can see you with your lightsaber on. And so she's doing it. I'm like, yes, that's what you would do. Yeah. That's the smart move. Turn them off when you're not using them so they can't see you.
And the final battle with her and the magistrate was so smart and so cool because copying that samurai style. That slowed down because there was like, well, why didn't she just bust in there and just like, take her out? But they did that on purpose to show that samurai sort of fighting style. And it was just really, really cool. And that actress that played the magistrate, she has a lot of background in. I forget who she. She like trained under, but it was like, it wasn't just some random actress. Like she's very skilled.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Person. I should have wrote that down.
Well, the guy that was in the town. I don't know if he had a name, but he had a couple scenes, like with Mando, and then he became the magistrate at the very end. He's an Imagineer. He like designed the cruise ships for the Disney Cruise Line. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's why we have you on, because you know all this cool stuff.
It was funny because I was walking through the room, and I think my daughter and her boyfriend had on like the Imagineering story or something, and he was on there talking about the cruise ships, and I just walked through the room. I was like, "Hey, that guy there, he was in Mandalorian last night." And then I just kind of walked out, and they're like, "Wow, how'd you know? What?"
Our dad's awesome.
That's because I saw something on the internet like earlier in the day.
But of course, this is the episode that we learned the child's name, Grogu.
George.
Like, what?
I was like, huh, are you sure you heard that right? Let's think again. Okay. It grew on me.
There's not an accent that goes along with that you need to say it in to make it sound better at all. Grogu.
Ragu.
Ragu. I always think of Grow Green, which is the people that handle our yard.
So when they come to you, say, "This is the way."
Yeah, this is the way. Yeah, they don't talk; they just leave.
And then the one of the final things that Ahsoka says, well, after the fight, is basically sets up the Ahsoka show. I'm assuming because she says, "Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And you're just like, "What the heck?"
And I almost jumped off the couch.
I did too.
I almost jumped off the couch because I love the Timothy Zahn books, and I know Thrawn showed up in like Rebels or whatever. Yeah. But I love the Timothy Zahn books. I mean, Heir to the Empire was just I could not read it fast enough. It was paced so well, and I loved his character, and everything made sense with that as like a sequel to Jedi. That somebody would rise up and try to put the Empire back together. So. When she said that, I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to be coming into some form here."
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Not on this show.
Well, yeah, like knowing like what episode that was and how many episodes are in the series, I was like, wait, are they going to bring him in now? I'm like, no. So what are they going to do? Is he next season? And then they announce the show, and I'm like, it's going to be like every episode of a show that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
What excited me about that was I like Thrawn a lot, but I also like Ezra Bridger.
Yes, so
From
he should
Rebels.
pop up because they're together somewhere in space in Rebels. I know spoiler, if you haven't watched Rebels, at the end of Rebels, he sort of like they're like trapped in the ship and they go
To help
somewhere.
save things, like they both like Ezra kind of shoots them off, and you don't know what happened. And that's kind of, you were expecting like, oh, well, another season? No, that was the last season. I want to know what happened.
Dun, dun.
To be continued in Ahsoka.
Yeah, which when she said, when she said that I can't train Grogu, you're going to have to take him to the stone, which will be in the next episode. And then a Jedi will hear. I'm like, oh, is Ezra going to be the Jedi? Like, that would be pretty cool if Ezra's going to be the Jedi. That's not all we got, but we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to jump ahead.
But also, like Mando killed Kyle Reese in this episode, so John Connor will never be born.
Oh,
That's right.
Oh, no.
So, the robot apocalypse is coming.
He was all like, I'm your Huckleberry, and shot him in the head. I said, John Ringo.
So, by far, my favorite episode of the season, which leads us to Chapter 14, The Tragedy.
Done.
Which I'm glad they're not revealing the names of these episodes until they actually air, because it kind of like some of them a little spoilery because it was like the Jedi and like.
Yeah. Well, we can get to that in a second. I want to know what you guys consider to be the tragedy.
Oh yes.
Oh.
And I saw the title. It made me nervous. Like, oh god, is Grogu going to bite it? Is that going to be the tragedy? Are we going to take a hard left here?
Yeah.
So what we thought when we saw it pop across the screen?
No, after the episode is over. What do you consider
okay.
the tragedy?
You consider the tragedy.
Yeah.
We're very deep on you. Okay, do you remember in episode 2 when he eats the eggs?
Comes full circle in the tragedy.
Yeah.
The eggs are haunting it.
No, it's been haunting him. That's what he sees
Froggy.
when he's sitting there. He's like, I ate the eggs. Anyway, so he takes him to Mando takes him to this big rock, and he sits him down, and then he just goes, I'm going to wander over here.
Yeah. I'll leave you here.
I'll leave you here. I'll be
Be
back.
okay.
I thought this episode, out of all the episodes, this was the one episode that had a lot of things that make you go hum. Like, like why? That was sort of dumb. Why they do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that was stupid. Why they do that? Like when he sits his jetpack down. He sits it down.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
and then he realizes,
Forgets to pick it back up.
we better run up there really fast.
Yeah.
What about that
Really
jetpack
far
right
away,
there?
too.
Oh, no, I don't have time for that. Well, just use your little arm thing to make it come back to you. Like in the other episode when you do that? Oh, no, we better just run up there really fast. Okay, let's do that.
And everything could have still happened the way it happened. It's just, by the time he got the thing to fly to him and get on him and he took off up there, it could have been, he just missed him.
Yeah.
But instead you're going, backpack, turn around. Where are you?
Backpack,
Why?
backpack.
Yeah. I would rather have flown up there and then take off into the air to fly with them, and one of the dark troopers turns around and shoots the jetpack, and he goes down and like hits a rock, because it would have been more like, I screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm defeated. Like, there's no hope. Instead of just sort of like, man, I just didn't run fast enough up here, I guess. There was nothing
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing when he kept trying to get through the force field. I'm like, how many times are you going to do this, dude? This thing is not letting you through.
And then as soon as he walks away, it goes down. Well, that was convenient.
But there was some really cool stuff in this one.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. Slave One flies in. When I saw Slave One, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
I wish that they didn't, in this episode especially. I wish there wasn't a previously on The Mandalorian, because they gave away basically one of the characters that was returning from season 1 that you thought was dead. So you sort of knew, oh, she's going to be in this episode because they showed her. It's like, well,
Yeah,
he's going to be here.
Yeah.
Wish they had
Dr. Boba Fett helped her.
Yes, which everybody thought at the season 1 is like, was that Boba Fett walking up? Who is that? And now we know.
Now we know.
He's good apparently with field robotics.
Yeah, look at what he did.
Really
She
good.
lifts up her.
That's where he's been gone for all of this time. He's been getting his doctorate.
Yeah,
Takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like MacGyver. He just grabs what's ever on hand. There's this canteen, a few gears. There you go. New intestines.
this soda can could be a spleen.
and while little baby Grogu's up there doing what he's doing.
Meditating in the most adorable way.
Yeah, meditating. Mando instead of thinking about that, switches to, hey buddy, you got to give me that armor back.
It's true. It's true. I know some serious stuff's going down back here, but whoa.
I need
That
that
armor.
armor.
Let's just pump the
He
brakes
goes,
on this.
oh yeah, beep, boop, 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 boop. As you can see here from this readout that no one can read, but now people can read because we're geeks. It says that this belonged to Django, who belonged to this. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, good.
Sure. Then we get Dad Bod Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, and I like that they, like they said on the behind the scenes, that Mando is the gunslinger, and Boba Fett is the barbarian.
Oh my gosh.
That was
Yeah.
an awesome fight scene. I know that I've been like sort of making fun of this episode, but that was just little bits and pieces. But the overall, with this fight scene with Boba was amazing.
It was cracking heads with that thing.
Bantha
the,
stuff, yeah.
Bantha stick. Yeah, I thought it, like for the longest time, I thought it was like a bow. When you saw it kind of in the distance when it was on his back or something, whatever. And then he starts cracking heads with it, and like literally cracking the helmets and the armor of the stormtroopers. It was just ridiculous.
That weapon is one of the things I love about this, because we had like all these toys as kids and everything.
Yeah.
And like we had like all these little weapons, and like as a kid, as kids, your toys intermix. We had like a tackle box that was just full of like all these little guns and stuff and everything. Yeah. So I really didn't know what a bunch of it went to, and I remember that stick, and I was like, that was in our toy box. I remember that. Yeah, I don't know what it did. I thought it like shot something or whatever. I was like, no, you just beat it.
Beat people
with it.
What's funny, I would always brush my teeth with that.
It's like a water
things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it was green.
I always just had my Tusken Raider holding it over his head.
Oh yeah,
that's all I could think of to do with it.
So yeah, it's a cool scene, but I don't know if this is the tragedy, but the greatest tragedy for this episode for me was the destruction of the Razor Crest.
Yes.
That's Winchester thought as well. His comment in the feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that was the tragedy.
That was like IG-11. That was like K2. I mean, I was just like,
I know. I mean, the Razor Crest was a character in this story that we've come to love.
Mm-hmm. And the night before, I just seen like a toy Razor Crest you could get that was like $500. And the moment that blew up, I just felt so bad for everyone who bought that toy.
Yeah. I had the same feeling watching. I remember when I was a kid watching the third Back to the Future, when he comes back and he's on the train tracks and he jumps out and the train just decimates the DeLorean. I was like, maybe we could fix it. Watching the Razor Crest, I was like, maybe. No, I don't know. It's so gone. It's not coming back.
So did you get a little choked up? Like, so they've taken Grogu. Grogu's gone. He goes down into
don't get Grogu back.
Where the Razor Crest was. He goes down there and he goes through and he finds the ball.
Yeah.
Ball survived.
Yeah. It's probably made of Beskar, so it's probably
must be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he make it? Yeah, well, I guess there's not a Beskar to go around. Next time, make your ship out of Beskar.
Make the ship out of Beskar.
Kaboom. Joke's on you.
Grogu did get the most like adorable little handcuffs, though.
Where did they get those?
Okay, the best meme or anything that I've seen in a long time was a stormtrooper and whatever says Moff Gideon says, put the shackles on this child, and he goes, and that was the moment when I thought, wait a second, we have shackles for babies. Are we the bad guys? Who has shackles for babies?
Well, the thing that's funny with that it's even more so in the following episode, when we see Grogu again, it's like, can you not use the Force unless you can wave your hands around? He's just like, my hands, I can't do the magic hand thing, so I can't use the Force.
It has the lights on them.
Yeah,
the midichlorians. Wow,
they're allergic to blue light.
Yeah,
anti-midichlorians. Yeah,
that's why Luke's force powers didn't really work great until he got off of Tatooine because he was drinking so much blue milk.
Right.
So they're like the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
But instead of they can't work against yellow, they can't work against blue.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay.
Even though some of their lightsabers are blue.
Even though it's like a light blue.
Yeah.
It has to be a specific blue.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ray, what is the tragedy of the tragedy?
That was the tragedy, man.
Okay.
The Razor Crest. That was when they were. Because again, I mean, I figured, they'll get Grogu back, but I mean, the ship's gone, and now, I mean, he can't get another ship of that class. That would be like the Falcon exploding, and it's another Corellian transport ship that looks the same. So it's like he can't get another Razor Crest. He's gonna have to
maybe he'll get the ship. Maybe he'll get the Falcon. That's where it was for the longest time. He'll use the Falcon.
No. I love that ship. I do not want that ship showing up in any form of the show. But yeah, to me, that was just like I was heartbroken because I thought that ship was so cool. And
what it does show us is what it looks like inside of Slave One, though, right? With the rotating.
Oh, that was neat. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was the next episode.
Yeah, next episode.
Oh, sorry.
Which we can move on.
No, we got to stay on this episode. So.
Let's dwell. We've already been 2 hours in.
So. I wanted Boba Fett to be like, so, didn't want to get your jetpack, huh? Oh,
how to use it, right? You got this little thingy thing here.
Yeah.
I don't have the best of luck with jetpacks either. I get
it. Anyways, it was really good. We'll move on. But when he shoots his rocket,
yeah,
he goes, I was aiming for the other one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw a poll about favorite episodes, and that one ended up being like, I think for this poll was the favorite episode for fans.
It was Boba Fett.
Yeah. Was the Boba Fett, yeah. Which, I mean, there was some really cool. Some of the stuff that made you go, was kind of brought it down for me.
Yeah,
I mean, there were the cool, funny moments, but beginning to end of the Jedi episode was still that was good.
Okay, let's move on to a very good episode, but it was sort of like, why is this episode or chapter 15? The Believer, because it did feel like we're leading up to something. Then it was like, wait a second, side quest.
Pump the brakes. Yeah.
We got to go to that planet with save the horses. Oh wait, that was another one. So the Believer brings back Mayfield, who was in season 1. I forget the title of the episode. The
heist.
The heist, maybe.
Yeah.
They bring him back. He's in a prison camp. So this is why he goes back again to see Cara Dune, because it's that easy. Once you become a marshal, you can just take anybody out of any prison in the galaxy No
Well,
question.
I mean, it's a new republic. They're still working out like the
Mhm.
paperwork and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
I don't
quite
think there
like
was
that.
paperwork yet.
Yeah.
That's probably something
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah.
introduce in
Yeah.
the Rangers of the New Republic.
That's the Rangers. Is
Lots
this going to
more
be lots of
paperwork.
paperwork?
Yeah.
TPS reports.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was really funny when he mentioned the TPS reports.
Yes.
So they break into this random
Mining facility.
mining facility to figure out where the Moff was. Moff Gideon.
Yeah. To get into the computer, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
can
to
guide
access
them
the
to where.
computer system.
Yeah.
'Cause I guess
That's
all
the
the
only one that
computer
they
systems.
could get to.
Which you just have to show your face to, and it works.
Yeah, it's like doesn't matter
Whose
whose
ever
face.
face.
Yeah,
we just need a
like
face.
any
we need
face will
anybody's
work.
face.
Yeah.
Anybody. Come on. Anybody.
You could take Quill's face back there. And,
Yeah, my wife was
Nick
like,
Nolte.
yeah, my wife was like, wait, so why does it work for his face? And I was like, well, see, it just catalogs what faces it shows up. It opens up for anybody. It's just a catalog, and then you're in the catalog. Yes, that solves that problem. Yes, because I was thinking, well, that shouldn't work.
Because maybe that's what it is. It just needs to record a face
Yeah.
of who's accessing, not necessarily.
unless there's going to be more backstory where he somehow was, had been captured by the Imperials. Maybe when he was young and spent some time in a
There won't.
Imperial camp. I don't know. I'm just trying
There
to
won't
find
be.
some sort of logic.
I did like when they were deciding who to go in, and Boba Fett was like, "Yeah, they'll know my face. I can't
Yeah,
go."
because
Like, yeah,
there's been so many
everyone
of
has
his
seen
faces.
that face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look familiar.
Look like about 5,000 other guys I used to know.
Somebody that he used to know.
But he was all scarred up, so maybe they wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
They didn't
Oh.
have hair
He
anymore.
wore a wig or a
Yeah.
mustache or something.
Wore a mustache. The thing about this episode though
Glasses.
is that it really was the next step for Mando to realize that Grogu was more important than traditions. It takes us, first off, he switches into a whole new outfit, which was cool. I'm waiting for that action figure to come out. Mandalorian in this other costume. They will.
Yeah.
And then I like that the Bill Burr's character basically says, "Man, this guy stinks," because it sort of tells you that these armor are worn by real people and nasty and gross. And,
He's like, "I'm taking this off. I can't see anything out of it."
yeah. Which was funny, like, because my wife said the same thing. Like, when they pull in and he still has his helmet off, she's like, why doesn't he just put his helmet back on? He's just like, hey, everybody.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We're back.
And
You think
he's like,
someone
"Yeah,
would be
that
like,
guy
wait a
recognized
second,
me."
that's not who went out with that truck.
And then the guy didn't even recognize him
Yeah.
anyway.
Which I didn't think you would recognize him because it sounded like he
Yeah.
was sort of a foot soldier. And this guy wouldn't remember.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of really cool dialogue, though,
Oh, yeah.
with Bill Burr when he's talking about, these people don't care, Empire, New Republic, it's all the same to them.
Yeah.
They're being occupied. And I had actually, I think I might have talked with Street a little bit. I know I talked with our friend Ernesto a bit about this. It would be really cool to have a show. I know they're doing the Bad Batch, but to do a show from the Imperial perspective. Because it's kind of like, when you think of the classic movies and all that, it's like, oh, the Empire's evil and the rebels are good, and and it's like, well, from a certain point of view, which we can get to that in a minute because they have a little bit of that, I think, in the next episode. The rebels are terrorists. They blew up a battle station and killed millions of people, and they the Empire retaliated and so forth. So there's a little bit of that with this episode with Bill Burr and some of the stuff he was talking about. Mentioned Operation Cinder, which is from the Star Wars Battlefront campaign, which I thought was a nice little nod. Cool. But kind of depicting them a little bit more as people, the Imperials, the Empire. Whereas a lot of the times it just kind of feels like they're these the faceless bad guys. Mow them all down. They're just stormtroopers and
It was cool, like when they got back when they actually made it into the base, like people were like cheering for them.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, they
celebration
saved
amongst
the
people.
day. I mean, for them, from their perspectives. So
and they're like, maybe they're not so bad. And then somebody goes, baby shackles, and they're like, oh yeah, baby shackles. Yep, baby shackles. Yep, they're bad.
I forgot about the baby shackles. Yeah. But then they're like, well, this baby ate babies, so I don't know.
Like,
Maybe
the
deserve
imperial code
being shackles.
But if they wanted to do a show that was kind of along the same timeline, but from the imperial perspective of like different characters and how, from their point of view, the events of the movies that we're familiar with, hey, I heard, we tracked the terrorists to a, Hoth or whatever, and they're sending down drones and da-da-da-da-da, and I want revenge for the first Death Star, and they killed my family. My family was on that first Death Star, and I don't know. That could be interesting to show a little bit more of that, which I thought was kind of cool.
They're not calling it the Death Star. They're like, it's the Hope Star. We're building the Hope Star. What do you mean Death Star? That's not what it's called.
Calls that.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, baby shackles.
The Hope Star.
So that was chapter 15, which leads us into the finale. And after chapter 15, I was like, how in the world are they going to wrap this up?
Yeah.
In one more
Seems like a
episode?
lot to do, yeah.
Like,
In a 30-minute episode, because all the last few had been 30 minutes long,
yeah. So how are they going to wrap it up? But they did. They wrapped. They found
they
the
sure
way. This is the way, I guess. All right, so they get to the ship by breaking onto another ship, which was cool. And that's where we hear you killed millions, blah, blah, blah. And as he shoots one of his as he shoots his co-pilot.
Yes.
No, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
Well, he was a villain on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't trust
Malik. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nope. And you sort of see again that the scientist is sort of he's doing what he's made to do, because he basically gives up. He's like, okay, this is where you need to go. This is what you need to do.
It was very interesting how accommodating he was. And also, because I mentioned this to my daughter, because just thinking about the fact that they're still cloning and they're still doing cloning troops and this and that and the other, even in the later movies, they sort of mention cloned troopers. It's like if you were the Rebellion, the New Republic, whatever, if your enemy has the ability to just copy troops and just mass produce them, isn't the first thing you would do is blow all that stuff up and kill all the people that know how to do it? I mean, but now they're still running around cloning people.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. But it'll be interesting now to see if this guy is now in New Republic hands. Is the New Republic going to start cloning people? I don't know.
You solved this whole problem. You solved the conundrum. He gets into the Republic's hands. He clones Luke Skywalker. That Luke Skywalker is who we see in The Last Jedi.
That was a bad clone.
Bad clone.
Grumpy clone.
Who survived off of milk from giant sentient cow.
Yeah.
I like that. There we go.
We've solved the problem.
I fixed it.
All
Yeah,
fixed.
they cloned the whole cast, and we were watching all separate cast, alternate. It was the whole alternate thing. Yeah.
Yes, they were all clones.
Yeah.
All of those movies, they were all,
All clone.
Perfect.
Makes sense.
That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Anyways, all right, so we have the Dark Troopers in full force, or we think they're going to be in full force until Mando closes, but one gets through.
Mm-hmm.
And
shoots the rest off into space like Alien.
And he just happens to have that Beskar spear. You knew that was setting up for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
What if he hadn't gotten that Beskar spear?
Well,
he would have been having a dark saber fight with his arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just do this all day.
He has to have a lot of like brain injury or something, because he gets hit in the head a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
that
though
and that Dark Trooper was going to town on his head.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it must be like vibranium or something where it's absorbing shock.
I guess.
Like that.
Because his head's like it's bouncing around in there.
Yeah.
Ring your bell.
I want to know why the
Foam.
like he's getting punched so hard. Why doesn't the visor part like break? Because it's not made out of Beskar.
It's clear
diamond.
Beskar.
Clear Beskar.
Diamond.
It's diamonds.
Diamonds.
I thought that was going to break.
Are like just everywhere in the Star Wars universe. They're not very like they don't cost a lot.
Right.
I thought that when he started, I was like, oh gosh, his visor's going to break, and then we'll see part of his face. And everything.
Yeah.
But no,
the fist was just hitting just perfectly.
I guess.
Yes.
It wasn't a very
Perfectly.
smart robot. I would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
turn my fist. Okay, there we go.
I did think it was cool that there was it was actual people in suits. And
Yeah.
they just,
that was cool.
strategically replaced things, and I thought that was the best thing they could have done for that.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice.
It felt very stop moey, like Terminator, like the first
Yeah.
or something. Very, kind of a little bit glitchy and whatnot, which I thought was cool.
I'm guessing. I mean, there's like that dance, like robot type dancers that are really good at stuff like that, like pop and lock or whatever. I don't know. It seemed like they may have gotten people for that.
That was the
I'm
widest thing I've ever heard you say.
I'm hip.
Papa lockers.
The pop and lockers.
Them popping lockers.
You know what I'm saying. I'm hip. I'm hip to the kids.
We need that clip right there just to advertise this episode.
Wow. Anyway,
I'm just kidding.
but it seemed like they got people that could do stuff like that really well. I'm sure they enhanced it digitally with like some of the arms and stuff, but just like the whole body movement itself, like they did a good job.
Yeah, it was cool.
They called the popping lockers up.
Mm-hmm. We need popping lockers in here.
So what did you think when all of them got shot out the airlock, basically? Did you like, well...
I was just like, they're going to fly back in.
I know, that's what I thought too. Like, don't they fly? I'm like, wait a second. They flew in that other episode.
Yeah. They're robots or whatever.
They didn't forget their jetpacks.
No, they didn't.
Huh?
They're smart.
They're smart, yeah. So basically there's the Darksaber battle, which we've all been waiting on. I was hoping that it was going to be Mando, Boba Fett versus Moff Gideon with the Darksaber. So you just sort of have that trio fighting. I thought that would be cool, but we didn't get that, which was fine. So Mando, I mean, it's not a very long fight.
No. I mean, Moff Gideon isn't necessarily a fighter.
No.
It has the Darksaber. Good with it.
Rear end handed to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he picks up the Darksaber, and little does he know, now he controls Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought, which was an interesting when he brings it back in, and Bo-Katan's like, "What did you do?" Like, she knew what was going on.
I saved the kid.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I saved the kid. What do you mean?
I did what I came here to do. I don't
I didn't die.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now
See
in
what I had to-
Rebels, this happens in Rebels, and Sabine gets it, and she goes, "You take it," and she just takes it.
Mhm.
Well, the thing with that, because I recently watched Rebels again, because of everything. I was like, oh, I'll watch Rebels again. So Sabine never actually wins the saber either.
Oh.
She finds it in Darth Maul's stash.
Oh, okay.
She didn't even use it. She finds it and she takes it. So she didn't earn the right either. So at that point, it was kind of up for grabs a little bit.
Mhm.
And the thing with the Darksaber is the story behind it. And the story behind Bo-Katan taking it the first time is that all the Mandalorians around her rally to her and they're like, yes, you need to take this. We want to follow you. So that was kind of like the story, was the clans coming together and supporting her for this.
Yeah.
But this story, Mando wins a battle, defeats the person who owns it, and basically it's claimed as his because he defeated him. But just giving it to her, it's not really a good story, and that's what Moff Gideon was saying. Like, it's the story.
Can't they just lie?
Yeah.
And
I mean, who's gonna tell?
All they had to do was kill Gideon. All they had to do was kill him. And then nobody
All
would
right,
know any
we're all in
different.
agreement. You fought Gideon, and you got it. Yes, we good. All right,
Good.
let's
We're
go.
good to go.
Mando just turns on the dark saber, cuts his head off, like
Yeah.
Oops.
problem
Problem
solved.
solved.
Put him in the baby handcuffs. They're so tight.
That would be funny if he like turned it off, and he was like, "Oh, where's the on switch for this? Bo, can you come help me with this?" And she starts to grab it, and he just turns it on and cuts his head off, and be like, "Oh, see, you did it. It was you. You defeated him. Wasn't me."
Oh, I dropped it.
Oops.
Oh, where'd it go?
So technically, it still belongs to Darth Maul. No, he died though.
He's dead. So I mean, it's
Damn.
Mando's, which Jin, like I always call him Mando. His name's like Din
Din
or
Djarin.
Jar.
Din Djarin.
The jar.
Yeah, but I just call him Mando.
So this sets up basically season 3. Basically, what this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would think.
That was it. That was the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing else happened in this episode.
We didn't talk about, speaking of armor, is Boba Fett's armor. He got a new paint job.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, he didn't.
Do
yeah.
you think he painted it just so because everybody else had nice looking armor, and he's like, I want to look as nice as everybody else?
No, he painted
Jealous.
it because he was like, you know what? Merchandising.
Everybody's got action figures
Merchandise.
of my dirty helmet.
Baseball's flamethrower.
It is funny that like they go to after that episode, the tragedy, they go to this back to Navarro. He's like, man, I got some time on my hands. He's going to look at a computer. That should take that should take a while. What should I do? He's just going to look at a computer. You know what? I think I'll paint my armor.
Get all the
green
dents
paint. Got
He
some
does
red
a lot
paint.
of- He does a lot of models. Like he builds a lot of models and paints them as a hobby. So he had all this paint.
It was sort of funny that he just like that's what he did. He's like, man, I could take a nap or eat some food. You know what? I'm not gonna be in the next episode that much. I should probably just paint my armor just in case. They have something for me to do. I don't know.
Finnick, do we have any small hammers? I want to get this bullet hole thing out of here. No? I guess I'll just have to stay then.
Yeah.
We'll just paint over it.
Which
dent
it still had
remains.
the stink from the first Marshall guy on it.
True. Yeah.
It would be funny though if he's like, of course they wouldn't put the scene in, but so he's in the ship and they're like, okay, you're going to distract him and fly off, and he's like thinking, I just painted my armor for this big fight scene. What the heck? No, we just need you to stay in the ship, but I really want to show off. We just need you to stay in the ship and fly away.
I feel pretty.
I feel so pretty. Come on.
I'm tired of green. I'm gonna go something. I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go purple and blue.
Blue and gray. Just like that.
Slimming, come on.
And unicorns. I'm putting a big unicorn on the top.
Oh, so he flies. So yeah, he flies away, and then the Dark Troopers come back on, and Gideon's like, "Ha ha ha! They're gonna come in here and protect me." I'm like, again, he's right there. You have a dark saber. Y'all have guns. Just take him out. Get rid of him. No, they keep him alive.
Not the way.
And then that's it, right? That's all that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Get set up for the next.
At that point, I thought one of two things was going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to go bananas with the darksaber because they had the darksaber. It's like, well, just go out there and start slicing them up, or like a Jedi is going to save their butt.
Mm-hmm.
She just gave the darksaber to Cara Dune. She probably could have taken them all out.
Probably.
Yeah.
She could have attached it to a gun, shot it at him.
So, who did you think it was going to be when you thought a Jedi was going to show up?
I was like, well, they like to go back to the past. I was like, they could bring Mace back because, you never saw a body. He could have some backstory of where he's been. Could make it for some interesting, reuniting with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yo, man, sorry about your dad, So I was like, it's got to be somebody we know. So I was like, Mace, or it could be Luke. Would they do Luke? Would they bring back Luke? How would they bring back
They
Luke?
wouldn't do that.
But I was like, I don't know. It's not. And for my money was going to be on one of those two.
Yeah.
I feel like it needed to be something. Because they could have done Ezra or whatever, but I feel like it needed to be something that everybody when you see this person, everybody's going to know who they are. It's not going to be like, oh, this is a person from Rebels or Clone Wars or something. So that was my expectation.
Yeah.
I kind of figured it'd be someone, but they weren't going to really show it necessarily. Like it was going to end with whoever's showing up, but you didn't know who.
Like a cloaked figure, and then you don't know who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping for Mace or Ezra. And I'll say more on that in a minute. Katrin, did you have any? You
I unfortunately saw a little bit of a spoiler before I saw the episode.
No.
Like I saw Mark Hamill say something. I was like, oh. And then
Hamill.
Saw the X-wing come in.
That's
I was like, who is it? Who could it be? And I'm like, who flies the X-wing?
As soon as you saw the X-wing,
Darth Vader?
Yeah.
That's why I
she's
stayed up till 3 a.m. or no 2 a.m. to watch the stupid thing. Because I was like, I'm not going to be spoiled. This finale is not going to be spoiled. I'm just staying up when it comes out and watching it.
I tried to forget. I was like, I'll forget I saw him. I'll just.
If I'm being honest, I did not want it to be Luke.
Yeah.
Because of what I know happens.
Yeah.
With the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I shouldn't have a bad taste in my mouth still, but I still have a bad taste in my mouth about what they did to Luke. So bringing him back just sort of brought that back up, like, oh, well, we know how this is going to end. Sort of like, we know what's going to happen. And then I'm like, oh, crap. So if Grogu goes with Luke, then he's pretty much, dead.
No.
Well, no, but first thoughts, because it's like, well, Kylo just, kills everybody, all the other students. So does that mean?
I think at some point, Grogu's at Jedi camp or whatever, and like he's writing his dad back. He's like, I really want to come home. This guy's just crazy. He's drinking milk from these creatures. Like he tried to kill me in the middle of the night for some reason.
He stands over me and watches me sleep.
Yeah, it's really creepy here. Just come get me. And so he comes and gets him.
Well, but then I thought, wait a second, he would be like 70 by then, Grogu. So we still don't really know how they age. So maybe he's like, peace out. Like I've already, learned what I need to learn, and I'm
rebellious teenager.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
By that,
because if you think about it, like if Han and Leia got busy on making a family immediately after Return of the Jedi, Ben Solo at best would be 5 or 6 during Mandalorian.
I think I saw somewhere that like 6 years from the start of the Mandalorian is when Rey is born.
Something like that.
6 years from the start? That'd be right after Jedi.
No, like from Mandalorian, the start of the Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. During the Mandalorian time, like 6 years from then.
So like Mandalorian is like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so then it would be 6 years after that, so it'd be 11 years.
Yeah.
So yeah. Ben Solo would be born around then.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyways, that was just a thing. But it was cool how they did it. I sort of still wish that they had just brought in Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, the CG. I mean, watching it a second time didn't bother me as much. The first time though, the face stuff. People do deep fakes. You see these deep fakes, and they're done so well. It's like, why don't you guys just do deep fake? Just do deep fake. I mean, doing the CG mapping thing that you do is just
somebody did one.
Just creepy,
Yeah, they did it for this, and it looks better. They did it side by side.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but no, it was cool that Luke came. I think I was more excited about seeing R2 come in. I was so excited when R2 came in.
I was so excited.
That was a surprise. Yeah.
He got more screen time in The Mandalorian than he did in the last 3 films.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And R2 gave me a theory on like how Grogu survived when I saw him, because like he was like all happy to see him and everything. I was like, oh, well, R2 was there when Anakin was killing all the younglings and stuff, so maybe R2 could have smuggled him off somewhere.
Yeah, R2 was like, crap, what is Anakin doing? I got to get my buddy up, Grogu, get him out of here.
Short people got to stick together.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he sort of recognized R2, or he thought he was just a really cool, shiny robot, and then he was like, ooh, shiny robot. But
I mean, R2 is the hero of of the story of Star Wars anyway. So of course R2 would take Grogu.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here, buddy.
Everybody.
But it for me, and like my wife mentioned it too, that because I mean she's not as big a Star Wars nerd as me, but it was just cool seeing, because you watch the original trilogy, Luke is your hero. The movie ends, he redeems his father with the promise that he's going to pass on what he's learned. But then in the movies, you never get to see that. You never get to see him do anything. When you just jump ahead and it's like, oh, didn't work out. And it's like, what? So at least here you got to see him be the hero, be the Jedi Master, and he takes the kid. He's gonna go train him and do all those kinds of things. And that was, to me, that was very satisfying. I'd seen people online say, oh, that was just fan service and blah blah blah. And maybe to a certain extent I can see that, but at the same time it's like, well, it's not like out of line with the timeline or who would
really
show up or anything else. I mean, it all makes sense.
Yeah, really, it's the perfect person to come pick up. I mean, like Mace Windu, I get it, it'd be cool, but we really don't know anything about that. And then Ezra, he's probably with Thrawn still and that stuff. So I mean, he's the only other Jedi we necessarily would know of that would. And he would be in search of other Jedi at the time.
He would be the one to train somebody, because we know from other movies that he would. So.
And I would love for them, like they've done with like Clone Wars or Rebels, just take that and make that its own little series, like the start of the Jedi Academy with Luke, and you can have like a Grogu in there, and I think they could do that well.
Yeah, and eventually Ben Solo might show up, but he'd be like a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure the age at which he went crazy and, became Kylo Ren. I mean, but if you say like he was like 15, 16, which is probably a little on the young side, you got like a good 10, 15 years of time where you could be having this school. And I think Street and I had talked before. My personal feeling is I think there's going to be a time jump on Mandalorian, and I think Grogu is going to come back. I think they're going to time jump 10 years. Because they kind of box themselves into a corner where, Grogu is always like, he's baby talk. So the show could go on 7 years, and if it stayed linear, he's probably never going to start speaking in full sentences. But if he goes away and comes back like in 10 years, and, we don't know how Yoda's species ages. If he's saying some words, they could he could be confused, like, hey, 10 years ago, you were saying baby talk, and now you're speaking in sentences. And they could be like, my species ages differently. They could Benjamin Button it a little bit. And
ages differently in my species does.
Yeah. But I mean, that would make more sense than, like Den going to the bathroom and he comes back and he's like, oh, yes, glowy ball I want. And it's like, whoa, dude, what just happened? You're talking. Well,
talk like I always could.
Because I think, Street, you were saying that he maybe a theory could be that, that Grogu comes back, he takes the oath, he becomes the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool.
Which could be cool. And it's
Mandalorian Jedi combo.
I think the next season is going to be Mandalore.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking maybe season 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like, give it some time, and then he comes back, and it's been several years.
It's gonna. I think somehow they'll have to bring it back next season just because of the hype of Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
the merchandising guys are probably like, no.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of viewers who are like, but where's Baby Yoda? I want Baby Yoda.
What other baby species can we throw in here?
Baby frogs.
We've done a baby hut before, but baby hut.
They'll probably come back. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do any more with Luke or not. In the Mandalorian.
If they do, I do hope they recast him, and so they don't have to do creepy face.
Yeah.
It seems like that was a lot of work, and it just
Sebastian Stan looks like Mark Hamill.
He does. He really does.
He's in another show. So.
But if you think about, I mean, I hope Luke isn't in it as much as we like Luke and everything. But it's the Mandalorian. When the show started, this first season, we said this feels like a Star Wars Western show, and it's kept that, and it's kind of been its own thing, and it's been different, and then this Baby Yoda thing took off, and it's kind of nice to get away from it a little bit in some regards. I don't think they can totally get away from it, but I think it'll be some new story, but it'll tie in all those other shows somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start hearing about the Rangers. Maybe Ahsoka shows up again.
It'll
just
be
say,
the
remember?
Marvel. Yeah, it'll be the Marvel thing where they have the crossovers
and the Flash.
Mm-hmm. And the Flash.
But didn't they say that all the shows are going to be like culminating in something like there's some sort of an Avengers moment that's going to happen?
So.
It's the new trilogy. So
right, yes,
yeah,
with all the clones.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Somebody mentioned about Hondo coming in for next season.
Oh,
who?
Yeah.
Hondo.
Oh, yeah.
Hondo and Naka.
Jim Cummings, the voice of Tigger. Darkwing Duck.
That'd be sort of cool to see Hondo. I mean, we've already seen him live action at Galaxy's Edge. They brought him out for a one-time thing, which I don't know why they just do that, have a walk-around character like that. But so he looks cool.
Right now.
Did you see it was in the episode, The Believer, the concept art at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see who was originally on one of the skiff things that was...
was it Poe?
It was Poe Dameron.
Everybody was saying Poe Dameron, which I'm like, it's a piece of concept art.
Well, yeah, but it looks like...
And he would have been like
Is
2.
a jacket or something.
How old would he be?
He ages differently.
Yeah, he ages. Come on.
It's a galaxy far away.
This would be 25 years before.
It was his dad.
How old's Bo-Katan? And she looked pretty good for her age. So.
No, there is no ties to the last trilogy.
Anyways, so then we end the season with Jabba the Hutt's palace with a very fat
That was weird.
version of what is wrong with me today?
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna, yeah. With the Kenner staff.
Yes,
Which I thought was
I love that.
So cool.
Again, another toy thing that we had in our toy chest. I was like, I don't know what this is from. And I saw it there. I was like, of course.
There it is.
There it is. But what did you think of that scene? Did you think, did you know it was Boba coming down the stairs? Before Fennec came down.
I don't know. I wasn't really sure exactly what was, happening there. I mean, I didn't know if this was going to be like the new criminal underworld, or they somehow funding Gideon or somehow involved in his doings. I don't know. Yeah.
But once you saw Fennec, you pretty much knew.
Yeah,
here comes Boba.
Yeah.
But they pretty much take that place out.
Mm-hmm.
These, like the criminal underworld, wasn't much for them. Like they just sort of came down there and freed the slave girl. And they took over the throne.
Which was a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy.
Yeah.
I saw that was played by Tonks from Harry Potter.
Oh, again?
Season 1. Maybe that was something else I saw. She was in a different one then.
She was in season 1. She played
She was in season 1. Okay, that's what I saw.
Yeah, on the heist. She was the girl.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought she played
but yeah, so that sort of set up with the next series. That will be next December, the Book of Boba Fett. What are your expectations for this show?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine he's just going to sit there and give orders to people, or bring me the head of Han Solo, or I don't know.
Is it, or do you think it's the time, because it's supposed to be maybe a short series? Is that what y'all are hearing too? That it's like a short, not a full 8
I've heard that
episodes?
Yeah.
But maybe it's like I don't know. Maybe not. But I was thinking maybe it's the time between the Sarlacc pit and Mandalorian episode, and not so much when he takes over that throne.
Yeah.
because it's like, what do you do if you're
Yeah,
on
there
that
will be some
throne?
flashbacks.
Like,
I'm sure some
Yeah.
of the episodes will be flashbacks.
I don't know.
I had wondered if they do the Arrow thing, like on the first several seasons of Arrow, where they would flash back to his time on the island and stuff. If they would do that, where like there's stuff happening in the present with Boba Fett, but then he would flash back, and it would be like him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit, and that would be like the beginnings of this is what happened to me 6 years ago, and how I got like what Katrin was saying, how I got to this point. Everything would catch up.
Yeah.
But the story in the present would continue to move forward.
And I think that's one reason they brought back Finnick, Jan, because the actress is gonna be one of the people that carries that show, or at least the.
No, she's great. She's great. I'm so glad she's on another show.
Nolan.
Yeah, she's gonna carry that show. Nothing against the actor that plays Boba Fett, but she's just so good at what she does.
Now, the last time we saw her, though, prior to this, she was still on Gideon's ship. So, is Mandalorian going to pick up immediately where it left off, or with them dumping her on Tatooine or something, or is it going to jump ahead?
I would think Boba circles back around. I'll circle back around and get you.
I'm coming.
He circles back.
So what happened while I was gone?
Yeah,
Jedi showed up, huh?
You painted your armor again.
No, you didn't get his name.
Yeah.
He didn't have one hand, did he?
All in black with the
I
cloak.
know that guy.
Bowl cut.
What would have happened if Boba Fett was there? That would have been sort of funny.
Yeah.
I wondered about that too.
Yeah, great. Not again.
Like that was my thing. Yeah, when Luke walks in the ship, he's okay with everybody that's there. Right? I thought that was kind of weird. Like no questions at all. He just comes in and
it's a force.
just shows up. And
but they never asked his name. If you're letting your kid go with some strange dude, I mean, do you not at least want the name?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can Grogu come home on holidays? Can I come to visits? What kind of parent visitation thing you got going on at this academy?
I mean,
how many reviews does it have? Can I look you up on Google? Can I get some recommendations?
They should have at least said, "Excuse me, do you have baby shackles?" And then when he said no, be like, "Oh, okay, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy."
Have you ever tried to murder any of your students in their sleep?
But even with Luke coming in the last Mandalorian that we or armor that he saw, right, was Boba Fett, and he's like, "That's a bad guy." Why does he not associate bad guy? Maybe he knows more about.
I don't feel his good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Grogu messaged him with his mind.
It's like Ahsoka and him talked in their minds.
These guys are good. They're cool.
Good.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool.
So now tell me, like, as someone that's never watched the other animated shows, if he had introduced himself as "I'm Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, I'm here for the child," would anyone there, would Bo-Katan had been like, "Skywalker, I know that name. Your dad was crazy."
Yeah. Well,
they would have known.
She knew Anakin.
She knew Anakin. Okay.
But she may not necessarily know that Anakin went bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
She might because she was friends with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka had mentioned it to her.
Yeah.
So that could have still been awkward. She could have been like, "Hey, I knew your dad. How was your dad?" Ooh,
but Skywalker's like Smith. Skywalker's like Smith.
I was going to say, is it like a Jones? Yeah. Or I mean,
why does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean that. Again, it was a 40-minute episode, so they couldn't do too much more. They had to be like, "Oh yeah, you're cool. You're cool." I mean, after seeing him destroy all those,
sure,
the Dark Troopers, they were probably like, "You know what? It's good.
That's probably okay."
Yeah, you can take him. We're not going to mess with you.
I was more concerned about it the other way with him coming in. It's like, why did he just trust all these people standing there?
Well, they weren't shooting at him.
So. I mean, it's a show.
Well, you guys have seen that comparison, right, between the Luke scene and then the Vader scene?
Yes.
That cool image. It's almost like a mirror. Him with the green in his right hand and Vader with his red in the left. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And Grogu touching the screen as he's watching Luke get the power. Yes, do it. Yes.
And that was really smart too with those monitors because they were black and white monitors. And even earlier when you saw them like looking at the monitors, everything was in black and white. So when you first see on the monitors and geez, there's a Jedi here and Jedi's kicking butt, you can't see the color of the lightsaber. You can't see, anything really. So they really played up that mystery.
Yeah.
And then when you saw the black glove in the human hand, you're like, it's Luke. It's got to be Luke.
It'd been funny if he had the black outfit on the glove and then takes the hood off and it's somebody completely
Leia.
different.
I mean, it's a common thing to lose a hand with lightsabers, right?
Hey, I'm Joseph. Joseph the Jedi. How you doing?
They call me JJ.
JJ.
Where's the baby?
Oh, you're adorable.
What if it had been Leia? That would have been sort of interesting.
With her creepy Rogue One face.
I think there's Leia fatigue, though, much like there's Luke fatigue in some ways. But
I'm just saying that would have been a twist that nobody would have saw coming. Probably they'd be like, wait a second.
That's true.
Leia. He's flying through space to get here.
Did you all have the same reaction though, seeing it without spoilers, like as people on the internet seem to have? Like, oh my gosh, this is so great.
Do you honestly want to know? Honestly, do you want to know what I did when I first saw when it was first Luke? And I just went the people listening won't be able to see. I just went.
You went thumbs down?
My first reaction, and then I was like, okay, it's good. But it wasn't like, oh, I can't believe they brought back Luke and it was amazing. Which it's fine that people thought that. But again, I was still bitter about old Luke. Yeah. And I'm like, and to me it was like, here we go again.
I was like, oh, cool, Luke. And then like they show his face and like, CGI. Dang it.
Yeah.
But then,
my smile just kept getting bigger. As soon as I saw the X-Wing, I got a smile. I was like, they're going to do this. They're going to do Luke. And I was watching it with my wife and my son, and like I didn't want to say. I was waiting for somebody in the room to be like, it's Luke. And even when you see the hand and you see the human hand and the green lightsaber, everybody was still silent. And I was like, should I yell out? Should I say it's Luke? Or should I just let everybody just kind of, kind of get there on their own? I'm sure everyone's internalizing it. So, So I think everybody just kind of had their own little happy moment.
I was more excited the second time watching it through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
seeing it all pieced together or knowing what was going to happen. The first time it just caught me like because
it was surprising.
Yeah, I was like, it's Luke. Like, it's going to be Luke. Then it was Luke, and I was like, it's Luke. Okay. I think part of it is because The Mandalorian, season 1, season 2, stayed away from those main characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in this other part of the world, and to have somebody from the original, like a main original character or a trilogy character comes in, it sort of reminded you, oh, okay, yeah.
It's a little too much of, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, is even though I loved it all and I loved the whole Luke thing and it was all fine with me, it did feel like, oh, we're connecting to the main thread of Star Wars a little too close now.
Yeah.
Which, maybe it's going to be a one and done. Maybe if Grogu does show back up again, if they do a time jump or something, maybe you'll see Luke, like, in the distance, waving goodbye or something, and it won't be like, hey, your son did great, let me go over some stuff with you. Don't let him get angry, because when he gets angry, but
he's still eating babies.
Don't feed him after midnight. Don't get him wet. But I feel like it worked in the moment, and again, it worked because they prefaced a Jedi might be coming to pick him up, and it just needed to be someone that we knew, because otherwise everyone would be like, it's Jedi Master Jeff. Who what? Who is that? But that being said, I don't want on the Boba Fett show, I don't want Boba having a vendetta against Solo, and I don't want to see the Falcon. I don't if it's parked in the background or something, that's cool, but I don't want anyone brushing, shoulders with Chewbacca or 3PO or, on and on and on. Because the galaxy should be a big place. You shouldn't need to do any of that stuff. And again, season 1 did a good job of that. But
I did wonder if they would bring a guy from the movie Solo in as Han Solo for an episode or something.
If they do a Lando show, like they're saying they're going to develop, that might make sense, to have dealings, because we don't know what time period is that pre-meeting Solo? Is this after meeting Solo?
Mhm.
That might make sense, and that might be perfectly fine. If they wanted to like have a brush with like Wedge or something, like on the Rangers of the New Republic, that could be cool, with background characters or secondary characters. Like I think Mon Mothma is going to be on Andor, and that's all fine. Just keep those mains.
I mean, I still want to see Mace and Boba Fett meet up again. That'd be the only thing. I want to see that battle take place. If they're going to bring back somebody in for Boba Fett.
Maybe.
I've heard rumors that Mace is going to pop back up somewhere.
No one's ever dead in Star Wars.
Well, I mean, if you think about how he supposedly died.
Yeah.
On like episode 1, they're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
Somebody of that caliber just getting his arm chopped off and fall out a window.
Well, I mean, Darth Maul got cut in half, and then fell down a cavern, and he came back.
I remember Samuel L. Jackson saying that he told George Lucas he didn't want to go out like a punk, and I'm like, dude, you went out like a punk.
Yeah.
You got blown out a window. I mean, it wasn't even like a hero's death. It was more like, I don't know. Hurricane came through and sucked you out the window.
On Samuel Jackson's birthday, there was a picture on Instagram of him as Mace.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, "Happy birthday. The best is yet to come." As him dressed as Mace. So it made me think. That's like this was Star Wars tweeting this or Instagramming this out. So I'm like, ooh, because it would be cool to bring him back in some
Mace Windu series.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
You can have a robot arm. All right, we've been talking a while.
We have been.
Yeah.
This was This was as long as
the whole season.
Episodes. Yeah, the whole season of The Mandalorian. But I hope you guys had fun. I had fun.
Yes.
Just talking about it, and I hope everybody listening enjoyed our conversation. And just remember, if you see someone with baby shackles, they're bad.
Unequivocally.
Yeah. But Ray, thanks for coming back on. We need to have you on more.
Yeah, man, no problem. I love coming on.
Now that stuff will start coming out again, hopefully.
Yes.
WandaVision, Star Wars, all this stuff. We can do more of these.
Is there going to be a lull, do you all think, of Star Wars until December when the Boba show is coming on? Or, I mean...
Yeah, it seems...
Well, the Bad Batch is
when's Bad Batch? Is that
the animated. There might be some animated.
Yeah. I mean, that's Star Wars. I mean, that's good. But it's like it's Marvel's turn now.
Yeah. And I guess Finnick's character is going to be in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Because everyone ages very slowly in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she will be young. She'll be, because she's old as the actress now.
She might be late 40s, maybe 50s. I want to say late 40s.
I think she's young.
I think she's like 49
in the Bad Batch.
Like 10.
10, yeah. Hey guys.
Hey, I can kill people too.
Anyway, so I think the Bad Batch will be out sometime.
Yeah.
This year.
But at least it's not like the original trilogy, how it took years for the next one to come out.
We for sure know that December we'll get Bad. I think we'll get Bad Batch before that. And then there's all kinds of Marvel stuff coming out too. Hopefully, unless those get delayed again.
Nah.
I think all that stuff's
at least one
done, right? Like Falcon Winter Soldier.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
They'll probably just delay Black Widow just to delay it again.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah. We've delayed it this long.
Honestly, I just don't understand why they don't do. Why they don't just Disney Plus it? I mean, everything's coming out.
The reason they didn't Disney Plus it is because of stuff that will happen in it that will affect other things, and they want it to be fresh on your mind. Or WandaVision was WandaVision supposed to come out before it?
I think so.
Well, Black Widow should have come out last May.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, Black Widow would have been first.
Yeah.
But they did do some reshoots or something on WandaVision, so maybe they corrected some stuff that would have been
Mm-hmm.
Something. I don't know.
Inconsistent
It's
feeling.
Marvel.
Yeah. Well, now that Spider-Man's turning into Spider-Verse,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
There'll be stuff.
Rethinking some plans. I don't know.
Yeah.
There will be stuff for us to watch. And hopefully.
Yes.
There should be like
Lots of things.
all kinds of stuff coming out. And then if not, we'll just be talking about what's the show we were talking about earlier?
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton. Yeah, they want that Black Widow money from the theaters. If the theaters come back. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thank you again for coming on. This has been episode 175 of I Am Geek. It's been a fantabulous, fantabulous talk about the Mandalorian. And remember, everybody, not only this is the way, but beware of baby shackles. And we'll see you next time on I Am Geek.